Hello, everybody. This week we are finding ourselves with the new moon in Libra. The sun also moves into Libra just a few days before on the 22nd, which is the autumn equinox in the northern hemisphere and the spring equinox in the southern hemisphere. So equi meaning equal, Libra all about balance and scales. So I'm showing you my beautiful angel made by a lovely friend of mine who knows I love the chakras, and we work closely together and collaborate. And this is where we need to be focusing on finding our balance, as always, but more particularly at this time of year. And with that in mind, choose your number between 1 and 4, and let's jump into the cards. Of course, we still have a lot of retrograde planets at the moment. I know that so many people have been feeling that Mercury retrograde really, really strongly. So I'm trying to film sideways for the YouTube video, which obviously will fit better, but you're going to see ahead, I'm sure, of cards. So that's just how it is. So in fact, I'll just show you the whole picture before we begin. And then let's focus in on our start card, the Six of Pentacles, our anchor card for this week. And I love this card. It's all about reciprocity. You can see the infinity symbol there in the background, and giving and receiving and accepting help and graciously giving help where you can. So if you're somebody who has to give, or if you're somebody who needs to graciously accept the receiving, and perhaps you are both of those in different situations. And for us as a collective this week, this is a really good thing to find your balance in. Am I an overgiver and a bad receiver? Am I constantly taking and never giving? Am I struggling with what within the realms of giving and receiving? And of course, giving and receiving is a really broad concept, but when we're talking about pentacles, it is very often on the material realm. So this can literally be financial assistance and aid, helping to support somebody in something to do with getting material things, that sort of more material, the realm that we kind of think of as wealth and abundance more concisely in Western society. That reciprocity of recognizing, but I also want you to just contemplate, when is receiving not about money, but more about bartering? Because I feel like there is a big shift in how we give and receive. And there will be things that we will still need money for. But a close friend of mine pointed out the other day that, what do you need money for, and what can you barter for? And trade. And it's just a really lovely idea to think that we can be doing both, and that more and more we can shift. And that brings us to the Five of Wands. So we've gone from a 6 to a 5 to a 3, and just to point out, back to a 6. So our whole reading is bookended by sixes. We have no major arcana. So this is a really good week to dig into your personal stuff. Yes, there's still the big global things that are out of your control, but it's a week to really focus on you. The Five of Wands speaks to up-leveling. It can be quite competitive and even combative at times. But funnily enough, for those of you who receive my meditations, my meditation I recorded yesterday was literally about up-leveling, which is a lot to do with this card. And in the context of that meditation, the up-leveling wasn't trying to reach the top of the corporate ladder or get to the top of your chosen field or whatever it was, but rather up-leveling your energetics and choosing a higher timeline, because that's kind of what's happening. Collectively, the vibration is changing, and we can either change with it, or we can feel the struggle because we don't vibe there anymore. And if you just consider any of those times where you've had a group of friends who were really great friends, and then suddenly you just don't feel like you fit, or you've been in a relationship and everything was good before, but now it just doesn't fit. That kind of feeling, that's what's happening collectively when the energetics of the big collective are shifting, and it's just not comfortable. We're being forced to change. So where in your life can you up level? Especially in the context of the Six of Pentacles being our major focus of the week. And then I love how we move backwards still to Three of Wands, same suit, because this is both wands is a fire energy. It's transformative, it's dynamic, it's passionate, sometimes it's angry, But the Three of Wands as a fire card, you can see it's quite peaceful and calm. And oftentimes fire is not peaceful and calm, but this particular card is kind of like the waiting for your ship to come in because you did the work. And in Five of Wands, there's the work being done. I'm reaching for something, I'm striving for something, I'm up-leveling something. And that may actually be in your career as well. It could very well be that. But I think it's also going to be on a bigger energetic level. But either way, whatever it is, and even on the multivalent levels with which you are up leveling, you are also ready to wait and receive from the work you've put in. So if you have been putting in the work, doing your daily meditation or regular journaling to check in with yourself, making sure that you get you rather than try and point fingers at anybody else, then you really are ready to receive something. And so just enjoy that quiet, patient moment, standing there, looking over the bay and waiting for the fruits of your labors to arrive on a ship. And then we come to the Six of Cups, which is a water card. So it's like we're leading, sorry, can't see. Okay, we're leading from the water into a water card. And of course, this one's come upside down, which does make it a little bit more challenging in its upright form. It is that point in the journey of our watery emotional selves where we get a little nostalgic and reflective. And I do want to point out that the moon has spent the most of the weekend in her own sign of Cancer, which is exactly that. It is nostalgic. It is sentimental and emotional. But if we find ourselves getting to this card at the end in reverse, I feel like everything that I've said about this reading to this point, here comes the caution to say you cannot avoid the past, but you also mustn't get stuck in the past. And regrets and anger, disappointment. This is a very good time to do forgiveness. Basically, this card is saying you need to forgive yourself for the things you feel that you've done wrong, for the things that you regret, and you need to forgive others because that's holding you back. The receiving that's being promised here, the up-leveling that's being promised here, the reciprocity that's being promised here is not going to happen if you are holding on to angers and resentments, whether they're to yourself or others. That is something that you really need to dig into and release. And I feel like the Libra new moon and the equinox a few days before, so the latter part of the week, Thursday to Saturday particularly, or even Wednesday to Sunday, is really the perfect time to be that kind of reflective, to be that kind of what could I do differently to bring better balance into my life? Because, I mean, we've all heard this before, but your resentment and your anger, even if it's, well, obviously it's hurting you if it's self-directed, but even if it's directed at another, it's also hurting you. So forgiveness can sometimes be seen as I want to almost say selfish act, because do it for yourself. Because sometimes we don't forgive because we're so angry and we think, that person's not worthy of my forgiveness. But that forgiveness is not for that person. It's for you. Of course, it is ultimately for them too, and we're all interconnected and we can't disentangle it. But try to approach yourself from whatever angle you're coming from. If you're coming from the angle of that person doesn't deserve my forgiveness and I'm going to hold on to this vengeance and let it fester inside of me, then you need to say, I need to forgive, not for them, for me. If you're the kind of person that is willy-nilly forgiving, but not really feeling it and doing the self-forgiveness, then you need to turn that around. So just meet yourself where you're at and flip the script, change the narrative. You're worth it. Have a wonderful week, and I hope you are doing the inner work. And remember, you can get in touch if you need any support, guidance, and don't forget, I've also got courses on Udemy. Well, the other one will be going on this week, hopefully, fingers crossed. We are having major load shedding in South Africa, where we just have no power for hours and hours and hours, for those of you not South African, so it is putting a little bit of a hold on certain processes. But check out my Udemy course, Moon Phases Made Simple, and get in touch if you're interested in signing up for my meditations or anything else that I offer.